how do we understand intelligence? So RPG IQ is just a lens, a framework to understand intelligence. Reactive intelligence is easy to understand. The baby kicks in the mother's womb, and why does the baby kick? Sometimes because the doctor is doing something, and sometimes you make a sound, and how does the baby even know? How does the baby have the intelligence? Or if you've seen touch me not plants, you touch them and they just collapse. So there is some reactive intelligence in nature. Action equals reaction physics, Newtonian physics is the easiest way to understand it. So there is reactive intelligence in the universe. It's just physics. That's one way we could think about it. And what happens when a baby cries? What do mothers do? It's like, oh, let's give them milk. There's an aphorism that says crying babies get milk, right? So you give milk to the baby. Now, what does that do to the baby? Baby's like, oh, if I cry, I get milk. So now the baby's got this figured, they got this prediction wired in their brain. So that's predictive intelligence. So we learn that at an early age, right? When we are born, we learn predictive intelligence. We say, oh, okay, if I cry, I get milk. And now this baby grows up a bit, they kind of, go to the stove and they see milk there, they can recognize the milk, and they try to take the milk from the stove, and they burn their lip. They're like, oh my God, hot milk burns. So they've learned that. Then the baby grows up a little further, goes with his teenage friend to the coffee shop, and then someone gets a hot coffee, they touch it, they kind of know this thing's gonna burn. They never had hot coffee before, it's the first time they're touching hot coffee. But they can generate the idea that hot coffee can burn from the predictions that they've learned that hot milk burns. So that's generative intelligence. I would argue that AI has kind of crossed these boundaries. Reactive intelligence, basic mechanics, physics has existed in machines for a while, right from robotics and factories to intelligent machines that we built within organizations, to predictive intelligence, which has been there on Wall Street, from hedge funds to predictive analytics that's been going on for a while, to generative, which we are now seeing with Gen AI. No surprise there, because it is now able to take ideas learned in one domain. How does Gen AI suddenly speak a language it has never been trained on before? So that's generating. And this intelligence exists in nature. And this intelligence, we have somehow figured how to mimic in machines as humans. Now, what is the next order of intelligence beyond Gen AI? So we can see Gen AI and we can relate to these three layers. What is the next higher order of intelligence? The next higher order of intelligence, I would posit, is what we would call intuitive intelligence. What is intuition really? Often someone would say, oh, I had an intuition that that thing was going to fall over there. But is that intuition really? That's not my definition of intuition. The definition of intuition to me is self-knowledge. It is knowledge about yourself. It is something you kind of know you're going to fall sick before you fall sick. No one has to tell you. The doctor doesn't come and tell you, hey, you're going to fall sick tomorrow. You know you're falling sick. You kind of have that feeling. Every time you sneeze or you kind of feel some discomfort, your muscles are sore on the inside. You have that. So there's some physicality to that intelligence. It's your awareness, sense of awareness. And we say AI has not become self-aware. We're talking about AGI. So it's that recursion of that generative and the ability to be self-aware is where it lands on, conscious beings and intuition. So it's your self-awareness, ability to know self. And which is the scary part, which we all think about the scary side of AI, saying when the AI becomes self-aware, what is going to happen? And to me, that is really the foundational piece of intuitive intelligence. And that is the next order where AI is likely to transgress. Should we continue the path that we are going down on? And then it raises lots of moral, ethical, existential questions. Is there an order of intelligence beyond such intuitive, self-aware intelligence? As we posited earlier, that you can predict sometimes what's going to fall. Now, you may be predicting it purely from your predictive sense or generative sense, what is going to happen if you see it. Because then you're taking input and you're physically seeing it with your five senses. But have any of us had an experience where they know something is happening somewhere else in the world and then someone called them? Something happened, there was no physical input, not even an email, you didn't even receive an email. But you sort of knew, and there's no physics to explain this, at least at the moment. And I love to explain things through science and math because it makes it easy for my brain to understand it. While art of persuasion will tell you all decisions are emotional and we just use rationalization and logic to make ourselves feel good about our decisions. But foundationally, there is some truth to the fact that you can observe. And Einstein, I think, called it spooky action at a distance because there was no direct connection. And I think the answer lies in quantum intelligence. And quantum intelligence is really quantum entanglement at a distance, which is Einstein's spooky action at a distance. So you're really talking about two objects which are far out in space to be able to sort of share intelligence in real time. This is the highest bandwidth communication, faster than the speed of light, that can happen between two objects in space. And that, I believe, is the highest order of intelligence. And I have this very ridiculous theory, that's why the heart is up there, that I believe that love is that highest order of quantum intelligence.